The cold New York wind cut through the streets, bringing with it the smell of fresh bread and espresso emanating from a busy bakery. Inside the establishment, customers crowded in search of welcoming warmth and the comforting taste of a freshly baked croissant. Among them, a solitary figure stood out, Evelyn, a 90-year-old woman, her face marked by time and life on the streets. Her body, wrapped in layers of worn-out clothing, shivered as she tried to take shelter from the biting cold. What really caught the eye, however, was the vivid red necklace she wore, a piece of jewelry that seemed to shine brightly amidst the gray palette of her appearance. The necklace, a reminder of better times, brought to Evelyn's mind memories of her daughter, Emily, and of sunny days that seemed so far away now. Suddenly, a murmur began to spread throughout the room. The bakery manager, a burly man with an ever-serious expression, had noticed Evelyn. With a disdainful look, he approached, interrupting the lively conversation between the customers. "Hey you, what are you doing here? Do you think you can just come in and steal our space?" His voice was loud and sharp, causing everyone to turn to the elderly woman. The murmurs of disapproval increased. "Theft? She's not stealing anything, just keeping warm," one woman whispered to her friend, while another shook her head in disapproval. But the manager, impassive, continued his tirade. "That necklace isn't yours. He must be here to steal something. Get out, or I'll call the police." Evelyn, taken by surprise and humiliation, felt her heart quicken. "Sir, please, I just wanted to warm up a little. This necklace was given to me by my daughter. It's all I have," she replied, her voice trembling, almost a whisper. "I don't want to hear your stories, old woman. If you don't leave now, I'll kick you out," the manager snapped, arrogance permeating every word. The tension in the air was palpable, and some customers turned away, unable to watch the scene. The elderly woman, with tears in her eyes, felt that the ground beneath her feet was about to collapse. It was at this moment that Ryan, a successful young businessman, decided to intervene. He was sitting at a nearby table, watching the scene with growing indignation. It wasn't just Evelyn's humiliation that bothered him, but the injustice she represented. Standing up, he walked towards the commotion, his gaze steady and determined. "Wait a minute," he exclaimed, his voice echoing over the noise of the bakery. "This is unacceptable. An elderly woman should not be treated this way, especially if she is just seeking some warmth." The manager looked at Ryan, surprised, but then his face hardened. "And who are you to tell me what to do? This woman looks suspicious." "She can look whatever she wants, but that doesn't give you the right to accuse her without proof," Ryan replied, his tone firm. He turned to Evelyn, who was frozen, a mixture of relief and confusion in her gaze. "It's okay, ma'am. No one here will hurt you." The murmur of the crowd began to intensify, some customers applauding Ryan for his courage. "Leave her alone. We all have our struggles," one woman shouted, as others nodded in unison. The manager, realizing he had lost control of the situation, backed away, his angry expression now replaced by that of an embarrassed man. Ryan crouched down to Evelyn's level, his gaze soft and understanding. "Are you well? What can I do to help you?" Evelyn, still in a daze, responded with a slight nod of her head, gratitude overflowing from her heart. "Thank you, young man. I just wanted to warm up." "Then let's find you a better place," Ryan said, holding out his hand to her. "Nobody should have to go through this." So, as the bakery slowly returned to its routine, a new connection was formed, weaving a thread of hope into the life of Evelyn, who, in the midst of all the pain, felt that maybe, just maybe, there was still someone willing to listen to her. "History. Would you like something to eat? I can help with that." Evelyn looked up, and for a brief moment, a flame of hope lit up in her eyes. "Oh, my son, I don't want to disturb you," she replied, her voice trembling but with a faint note of gratitude. "Just some water, if you have it." "Of course, water and something else. How about a sandwich?" Ryan insisted, already heading towards the counter. The smell of fresh bread and coffee filled the air, and he couldn't help but think about how food could be a balm for this woman's soul. As he walked away, Evelyn watched his back, admiring the determination with which he seemed to move. When Ryan returned with a glass of water and a sandwich wrapped in paper, Evelyn smiled slightly. "Thank you, young man. I didn't expect such a kind gesture." "It's nothing, really. You deserve that and more," he replied, sitting down next to her. "What happened in there was unacceptable. No one should be treated that way." She looked at him, a mix of sadness and relief in her eyes. "People often look at me as if I were invisible. I'm just an old woman, a burden on society. Life took everything from me, even my daughter." Ryan frowned, curious. His daughter? What happened? Evelyn sighed, her eyes losing themselves in memories of happier times. "Emily, she was everything to me. I lost it in an accident years ago. Since then, I am just a shadow of what I was. The necklace I wear was hers. I kept it as a symbol of love, but now it's just a reminder of pain. I'm so sorry for your loss." "It must be extremely difficult," Ryan said, sincerely touched by her story. "But know that you are not alone. We can do something about it. I would like to help your community, you and other people who are going through difficulties like you." Evelyn looked at him, surprised. "How can you help someone like me? I'm just a homeless old woman." "You are so much more than that," Ryan stated, his voice firm. "I have an idea. What if I created a community fund? We could bring together resources and psychological support for people in situations like yours. We could make a difference." Evelyn was silent, absorbing his words. "Would you really do that? For people like me?" "Yes, I would," Ryan said with conviction. "I believe everyone deserves a chance to start over. And who knows, maybe we can organize events to raise funds and offer support. You could help lead this. Your story can inspire others." Tears were streaming down Evelyn's face, but now they weren't just tears of sadness. There was a spark of hope. "If you believe it is possible, then I want to try too. Can I help you? I want other people not to feel the pain I felt." Ryan smiled, relieved and excited. "Excellent. Let's get together with friends and colleagues this week. Let's make this happen." With excitement growing between them, Ryan and Evelyn began to plan, and as they talked, the heavy atmosphere in the bakery began to dissipate. What once seemed like a dark day now became a new beginning, and their unexpected friendship blossomed like a flower amid the concrete of the city. Evelyn felt different with each passing day. Since joining Ryan's community project, his life has taken an unexpected turn. With each event he participated in, with each story he told, he felt a flame of hope rekindle within him. Sitting at a makeshift table in the community center, she looked out at the assembled crowd, a mix of familiar and unfamiliar faces, all there looking for support and understanding. "Good evening, everyone," Evelyn began, her voice shaky but determined. "Today, I want to share with you a little of my story. A story that, like many, is full of pain, but also of love." The chairs were occupied by people who seemed anxious, some with expressions of compassion, others with curiosity. Ryan was in front, with an encouraging smile, and it helped her feel more confident. "I'm Evelyn, and a while ago, I was a mother full of dreams," she continued, feeling tears pool in her eyes. "But life, as everyone knows, can be cruel. I lost my daughter, Emily, in a tragic accident that changed everything." There was a murmur of empathy in the room. Evelyn realized her words had an impact. Some audience members looked at each other, as if they recognized themselves in her pain. "I spent years trying to find my way back," she said, her voice breaking. "It was hard, and I often thought I would never be able to get up again. But here I am, and I'm grateful for that." At the end of his speech, the room was silent, but a welcoming silence. She felt like she had left a part of herself exposed, and that made her feel vulnerable but also free. Ryan stood up and applauded, and soon everyone else did the same, an applause that echoed with hope. After the speech, people began to approach Evelyn. One young woman, with a shy smile, said, "Thank you for sharing your story. I, too, have lost someone dear to me, and sometimes I feel so alone." Evelyn smiled, her heart warming. "You are not alone. We all have our battles. The important thing is to find a place to share it." Over time, the community began to come together. They came together to organize fundraising events. Ideas flowed, and the positive energy was contagious. One would be a community dinner, where everyone could bring something to share, not just food, but stories and experiences. Ryan was excited and engaged, and that made Evelyn happy. "Let's do something special," Ryan said at one of the meetings. "I want this dinner to not only be a way to raise funds, but also an opportunity for all of us to get to know each other better." "I agree," Evelyn said, her voice firm. "We must create a space where people feel comfortable sharing their experiences. We all have something to teach and something to learn." The weeks passed, and the day of dinner was quickly approaching. The streets of New York were beginning to fill with people, life pulsing around them. But inside the community center, new life was blooming. Evelyn felt part of something bigger, a new family. "I really feel like I found a home here," she told Ryan in a calmer moment, as they arranged the tables. "I never thought I could feel that again." Ryan smiled, his gaze full of understanding. "Evelyn, you are a vital part of this. Your story resonates with so many people. You are helping to heal this community. I just hope we can keep helping each other," she said, looking around the room full of excited faces. "Because together, we are stronger." "Absolutely," Ryan replied, looking her in the eyes. "And this is just the beginning." Evelyn smiled, feeling like she had finally found a path to redemption and connection. Life on the streets seemed increasingly distant, and with that, new hope emerged. The community hall was full. An atmosphere of expectation and joy was in the air. Tables were decorated with colorful flowers and posters promoting fundraising to help those in need. Evelyn, with her bright red necklace, was among the guests, her heart beating faster with each passing moment. Ryan had done an exceptional job of bringing the community together, and she felt that the hope that had seemed distant for so long was now within reach. While talking to some people, Evelyn spotted a familiar face among the crowd. He was a man with gray hair and a warm smile, which she recognized immediately. "Greg," she called, her voice thick with emotion. The man turned around, and his eyes lit up when he recognized the elderly woman. "Evelyn, it's you," Greg exclaimed, approaching quickly. "I can't believe you're here. The last time we saw each other was so many years ago." "Yes, it was," Evelyn replied, her voice shaking a little. "How are you? And how is Emily?" Greg hesitated for a moment, the expression on his face changing. She's fine. Or was," he corrected, sadness taking over his voice. "But she always talked about you, Evelyn. You were one of the most important people in her life." Greg's words hit Evelyn like a wave. He remembered so many laughs, moments shared with his daughter, and the pain of loss came back to the surface, but now there was a touch of light. "I miss her so much," she murmured, her eyes watering. "Life without her has been empty." Greg nodded, his gaze softening. "I know. In fact, I have some stories about her that I would like to share. She was an incredible young woman, always full of dreams." "Please tell me," Evelyn asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Greg began to recount some of Emily's fondest memories, each word a balm for Evelyn's broken heart. She remembered how her daughter always wanted to change the world, her small achievements, and how she always talked about the importance of helping others. "She cared so much about you," Greg continued. "It was one of the reasons she got involved in community projects." Evelyn smiled, but the pain of absence was palpable. "I wish I had been more present," she confessed. "I feel like I left her alone." Ryan, who was observing the scene from afar, noticed Evelyn's emotional fragility. He approached, listening to Greg's words and Evelyn's response. The connection between them was strong, and he wanted to do something to honor Emily's memory. "Evelyn," he said, interrupting gently, "how about we do a tribute to Emily? A celebration of her life, with all these people who care." Evelyn's eyes lit up at the idea. "That would be wonderful, Ryan. I would love for everyone to know the real Emily." Ryan smiled excitedly. "So let's do that. We can organize an event where people share stories, memories. Let's celebrate her life and the impact she had on all of us." Greg nodded. "Yes, that would be beautiful." Emily always believed in the power of community. She loved people. The idea took shape quickly. Ryan began planning the event, inviting people from the community to bring their stories and memories of Emily. Evelyn felt her heart warm at the possibility of seeing her daughter being remembered and celebrated, even if posthumously. As the event date approached, the community began to mobilize. Posters were made, and expectations grew. Evelyn, alongside Ryan and Greg, worked to gather everything they needed. With each meeting, the atmosphere of unity and love became stronger. Evelyn felt part of something bigger, something that not only honored her daughter's memory but also helped her find a new purpose in her life. Conversations about Emily's life spread, bringing smiles and tears, but most of all, a sense of community. The day before the event, as they were organizing the last details, Evelyn looked at Ryan. "Thank you for all of this. You have no idea how much you mean to me." Ryan smiled, gently touching her arm. "We're all in this together, Evelyn. Each of us contributes to Emily's memory living on, and you are a key part of that." Evelyn took a deep breath, her heart filled with gratitude and hope. She was about to relive the best moments of her life, surrounded by people who cared and wanted to make a difference. Emily's love and memory brought everyone together, and for the first time in a long time, Evelyn felt like she wasn't alone. The atmosphere was charged with emotion as the event in Emily's honor began. The small square was decorated with white flowers and balloons, and a central table displayed photos of the young woman, capturing moments of joy and love. Evelyn, wearing her bright red necklace, sat on a bench, watching the familiar faces of the community that had gathered to celebrate her daughter's life. Her heart pulsed with a mixture of longing and gratitude, as memories of Emily enveloped her like a warm hug. Ryan, standing next to the microphone, looked out at the crowd. His gaze stopped at Evelyn, who was visibly moved. He took a deep breath and began to speak, his voice full of emotion. "Today, we are not here just to remember a life, but to recognize the importance of each life in our community. Emily was a bright light who touched us all, and we must commit to keeping that light burning by helping each other find hope in the midst of the darkness." Ryan's words echoed among those present, who nodded their heads, many wiping away tears. Evelyn felt a warmth in her chest, a sense of belonging that she hadn't felt in a long time. She realized that the pain she carried no longer isolated her. Rather, it connected her to that community that was forming around her. However, the celebratory mood was abruptly interrupted when a woman stood up from the crowd. His eyes were filled with anger and pain. "Sorry to interrupt," she said, her voice sharp like broken glass. "But I'm Lisa, the mother of one of the victims of the accident that killed Emily. I didn't know her mother was alive." A murmur ran through the square. The tension was palpable, and all eyes turned to the woman. Evelyn felt her stomach turn. What was supposed to be a loving tribute had suddenly become an emotional battlefield. "Lisa, Ryan began, trying to smooth over the situation, but Lisa interrupted him. "You do not understand. My daughter had her dreams destroyed by that tragedy. And now I see that the mother of the girl who killed her is here, as if nothing had happened." Her indignation reverberated among those present, and the atmosphere became even more tense. Evelyn, who had been silent until then, raised her head. The pain in Lisa's eyes hit her deeply. She slowly stood up, her fragile body shaking a little. "Lisa, I'm so sorry for your loss. I, more than anyone, understand what it's like to lose a child." Her voice cracked, but she continued. "Emily was a young woman full of life. She loved helping others and always talked about her dreams. The pain you feel is the same pain I carry every day." Evelyn's words were like a bomb on Lisa's exposed wound, but the woman didn't seem willing to relent. "You can't just play the victim. My daughter's life was cut in half, and I no longer have her. How can you be here, celebrating, when I'm suffering?" Ryan, who was observing the scene, realized that the situation was becoming untenable. He stepped forward, trying to intervene. "Lisa, please understand that what happened was a tragedy for all of us. No one is here to minimize your pain or the loss of your daughter." Evelyn, feeling the need to connect with this woman, said, "Lisa, I want you to know that if I could, I would trade everything I have to bring Emily back. But we cannot change the past. What we can do is honor her memory together. I would like to hear about your daughter, who she was, what she dreamed of. Maybe then we can find a way through this pain together." Evelyn's words seemed to touch something inside Lisa. The anger, although still present, began to give way to a vulnerable weakness. The silence that followed was heavy, but there was a new possibility in the air. The crowd, which had previously been tense, now watched expectantly, as if waiting for something to transform. Ryan, noticing the change, added, "Maybe we can create a space to share stories. Each of us has a role to play in healing. Let us allow the memory of Emily and all those we have lost to bring us together, rather than tear us apart." Ryan's words resonated in the square, and a murmur of agreement began to spread. Evelyn looked at Lisa, hoping the invitation would be accepted. The future was uncertain, but the hope that the pain could turn into something beautiful was subtly taking hold. Lisa looked at Evelyn, and the connection between the two became palpable. "Let's support each other," said Lisa between sobs. "I believe that together we will be able to find a new path." Evelyn smiled, a smile that lit up her aged face. "Yes, together we are stronger. And I will always carry your daughter in my heart, as you should too." Ryan, watching the scene, felt a surge of hope. He realized that the true strength of community was not just in helping each other, but in reconnecting through pain and loss. That moment wasn't just an exchange of words. It was a rebirth of ties that had been broken. "I'm going to help you two rewrite this story," Ryan declared, determination shining in his eyes. "Let's create a space where we can share our memories and honor those we love." Ryan's words brought new energy to the room. People began to stand up, applauding the new union that was forming before them. And with that, hope was reborn, like a hummingbird that returns to life after the storm.